Does anyone here for like professionalism? Because if you are, I am so sorry for the way that I've misled you. Hello, my name is John Bonjour. I am a comic book artist. I don't know if I've set this up right because I haven't really checked, so hopefully this part of me is in frame. Today I am putting all of my physical rewards together for a Kickstarter that I just did, and I wanted to talk to you guys about what I learned from doing this Kickstarter and things that I may take into the future. Also, it's hot as beans in here, but I could not refuse the opportunity to A, be extremely cozy, and B, wear this sweater that was made by my friend Hattie. Just insanely comfortable, perfectly crafted. This thing is maybe my favorite piece of clothing that I own. So, shout out Hattie. She also, I think, got a book. We'll see. What I've done in this moment, just so you get kind of an understanding of what I'm doing here, I have gone through my backer report, written them all down on very see-through paper, because that was all I had at my immediate disposal. And I'm just going to be going through and collecting them in the order and putting all of the pieces together, just because I can't get my brain around this thing. So I need to get all of the pieces that I have together physically in the same space and put them for each one. So what I should have done is cut these up. So I have some very practical things that I learned from doing this Kickstarter. This is probably not good for the audio. I have some very practical things that I learned from doing this Kickstarter, and I'll start with those and then get into the more heart posture-y kind of things. Practically speaking, I learned that these are a lot more work than you think they are. I thought making the comic was the work, but no. As it turns out, it's actually fulfilling the comic that's the real work. Is there a better way to do it than writing them all on paper and cutting them apart and putting it together? Probably, but I don't know what it is, and the idea of trying to figure out another thing for this is kind of freaking me out. Also, speaking of freaking out, Hattie, I love the sweater so much, but I feel like I'm gonna have a panic attack in it right now in this moment. This is a good fall sweater, a good fall to winter sweater. There's so much work to be done in just the fulfillment of it, and I went pretty loose with what I was doing with it. I did not. A lot of people, when they're doing like a comic book Kickstarter, would make a ton of rewards and then I assume have to fulfill all of those random rewards. I tried to keep it so minimal in terms of what rewards I actually did, and it still feels like I have 7 things. There's one that I forgot about completely and now have to get printed. Thankfully, I know a printer in the area, so that works out pretty well. But there's like I did like 6 total physical rewards, and I still forgot that I had to get one of them made. I think another thing that I learned from this whole process, just generally of making a Kickstarter, is I had assumed that Kickstarter was going to help me at all. It was going to help me at all in terms of getting like eyes on the project, and maybe it would, develop some kind of a following for itself. My biggest takeaway, and this is not to say that you shouldn't do a Kickstarter, but my biggest takeaway was literally all of the traffic came from ads that I had already posted or my just current fan base for the comic that I make. So I don't know. I was thinking about this recently. When Volume 2 comes out, because I printed Volume 1, it's the first 6 chapters of my comic, all in printed form. I'll show you in a second. When Volume 2 comes out, in what feels like is going to be 38 years, I don't know if I'm going to go through Kickstarter, honestly, or if I should just do a pre-order system. Part of what I like about Kickstarter is that there is kind of a limited time frame thing, and I think it's a semi-trusted brand, so I don't know how much of that factored into people being willing to just send me money. Like, it is going through that secondary source of Kickstarter, so maybe that's a plus. But I also think, like, going through this, well, there's a lot I learned about the process, but going through this, I think, like, hopefully the people that would want to support Volume 2 would trust me enough to just pre-order it. That would be my thought anyway. And then I'll run like a pre-order system for a month, and then when those are done, I'll put in the first order, and I'll be exactly where I am right now, but without having to try to process through. Like, as it stands, there are 2 people who haven't filled out the like report thing for the Kickstarter, so I don't know where to send their book. I'm not sure what to do with it. Thankfully, I think I can track down their emails, so I will just be reaching out to them and asking where they want me to send it. Is that all of them? It's all of them. It just feels like it's a lot of work for a thing that I don't totally know is really helpful in terms of like what I actually got out of Kickstarter. I also will notice it's kind of weird associating my book with other books that are on Kickstarter because a lot of them are pornography. I mean, just like so many comic books on Kickstarter are porn, And so it was kind of weird to see like weird naughty fairy tales and also Edge of Border Town. Okay, I should actually do the thing I'm here to do. This one is for Jonathan. That's a big one. We're gonna do that later. This one is for Elizabeth. I know her very well. She was a teacher of mine growing up. There's a bunch of freaking dust on the table and I hit my laptop. Edge of Border Town, Volume 1 is officially out right now and you can buy a copy on my shop, johnbonhart.com. So she got a book. I've got a slug that I need to make these little like ceramic slugs, and then she got a sticker, and I guess I should show everything off. A little Edge of Border Town banana slug sticker, and a die, which is just a little dice with the Edge of Border Town logo on it. You don't have to watch me do all of these. There we go. A book for Joshua, and he'll get a slug as well. I'm just gonna put that right there. I really should talk as well. I don't know what I thought this was going to be. I don't know where I thought in my mind I was going to be able to multitask in this capacity, but I simply am not. The emotional side of things that I wasn't prepared for is I successfully funded a Kickstarter, which is weird because it didn't really come from Kickstarter at any point. Like none of the traffic came from that. So I could have successfully just funded a first print run of the comic. But what is cool to me is that I tried to do a Kickstarter once before, and it went tremendously bad. I was also in like middle school. Caroline got a comic. Yeah, I was just like, I wasn't prepared for what it was gonna feel like to have done a successful Kickstarter, because I tried to do one as a child for a comic that my sister and Jamie, actually, my sister and I wrote and drew together. It's so crazy unwrapping a series of your own comics. The feeling of having successfully completed a Kickstarter, I think, was worth going through Kickstarter enough. That was enough to make it worth the time, worth doing it. And I will say, it allowed me to offer things that I maybe couldn't have before, which is pretty fun. It allowed me to give like, one of the perks that I did is like a physical piece of art, like one of the pages from the first issue of the comic that I drew. And that's a pretty cool thing. I don't know if I could like sell those on a physical store or put them as a part of a pre-order on a store. So like it is pretty fun to see that as an opportunity. I think there are benefits to Kickstarter. It is a more reputable name. There is a certain like, hey, I am a funded Kickstarter comic book artist. Larry, my dad, he looks almost exactly like me, we've been told, or I look like him. Is that how that works? Got a book, and I'll throw on a sticker because that's my dad, that's my pops. What am I gonna not give him a sticker? Come on. I guess I should put the ones that are done over here. Ugh. My brain, you're getting like a perfect peek into how just like generally I operate, which is not successfully most of the time. I also have to figure out shipping. That's the other thing. It is a given with physical products, but shipping is so much of a hassle. Like just doing this, I had to wait for so long for these books to get printed and for them to get sent. I mean, it's a very reasonable amount of time for printing like 75 copies of a 280-page book, but it felt like forever to me because it was like I was just constantly waiting, expecting that I had put in some kind of wrong file or something like that. Thankfully, they're not the wrong file. It's the right file. I haven't noticed any print issues, which I am ecstatic about. Oh, there go my order slips. Fantastic. Really successful here. Does anyone here for like professionalism? Because if you are, I am so sorry for the way that I've misled you. Is Eddie's done? No, Eddie still needs a slug. There we go. Who is texting me right now? Is that what this is about? Is that what we're about right now? Oh, it's everyone. So my dad just texted the group chat, the family group chat. 6UYY, yup, GUGY6, 6THYY, Yvonne, GYTY, GGYY, G5YYYY, U6GGGG in all that caps. I assume either a squirrel got a hold of his phone or he's pocket texting us, and that's just tremendous. I can't wait to hear what that is. You know what? While I'm here, I should probably just text him back something, don't you think? Banana 420, blaze it 69. Nice. Sent that to the family group chat. What else we got? Sometimes I like to just sort of crack it open and just look at it. This is a good book. If you haven't read Edge of Bordertown, you can read the whole thing for free on johnbonart.com. That's my website. You can also buy a copy of this if you want to make me do this exact process again. I gotta focus up. This is not what focusing up looks like. How much of this will get cut? Oh, I don't know. All of it? I cannot fathom how bad I am at doing both of these things at the same time. I think there is something to be said for the idea that I started that sentence without knowing where it was going and hoping that I would get somewhere. On a more tangible business level, this has nothing to do with the Kickstarter, but on a more tangible business level, I think digital products are a huge win because looking through all of these and seeing the physical products that I'm so honored that people bought, and then going through the backer report and seeing several digital products and exclusively digital, so I didn't have to figure out shipping. The amount of elated feelings that I got from that are crazy and make me try to figure out, like, what else can I do digitally that people would want to have that I don't have to ship anyone. The fact that I have completed now a successful Kickstarter that was funded in 24 hours, which feels awesome, not a brag. I mean, I guess it's technically bragging, but I'm not trying to brag. Yeah, like the idea that I have now successfully completed a Kickstarter is extremely cool, and it is such a motivating factor. It makes me feel like, okay, this is possible. What I'm doing is not impossible. You know, it actually makes sense to do the thing that I'm doing. There's a small bug on one of my order slips. It makes me realize that what I'm doing is possible. I just actually recently started a full-time creative career, hopefully. It's a big trusting God process here, but I am so fortunate to be in a position where my wife's job can make us enough money for me to take a little bit of time and actually build this thing up, which means I get to do stuff like this, which is kind of a huge honor. Like, it is a Wednesday right now, and I am recording a video and fulfilling backers, which... that's pretty rad. Like, it actually doesn't get a lot cooler than that. Okay, here we go. Preston, my buddy Preston. I love Preston. Preston is one of my favorite people in the world. We do a podcast together called the Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour, and it is extremely dumb, and I love it so deeply. Maybe that's what I do, is I just go through and see which of these I can just completely figure out, completely finalize. Zach, I can get him. Book. Easy. I feel like this video is really getting sort of out of hand in a way that I was, well, I won't say unprepared for, because I kind of know who I am at this point in my life. But I was not hoping that it was going to be this way. I can shift into advice. If I was going to do another Kickstarter right now, what would I do? I would be very careful what physical rewards I offer, and that I can source them in a reasonable amount of time. Thankfully, all of these ended up working out, but it could have gotten really bad if I had to wait for... well, I already had to wait for quite a while on the book, but that's kind of the whole thing. So if that doesn't work, then I should just not do any of this. But yeah, I would just be really careful about sourcing. I had to spend a lot of time with this particular book, just going through, getting proofs from different companies. It took me a long time to land on the company that I did. It's Comics Wellspring is the printer that I ended up going with. They did a wonderful job. They really got the colors down in a way that other ones maybe didn't. I feel like they got 2 books. In my heart, they got 2 books. Oh, sorry, Kickstarter. I didn't realize I had to verify that I'm a human being. If I was going to provide any advice for people kind of going forward, if you were going to start, if I was doing a Kickstarter once again, just at the start of this, I'm turning them over. If I was going to do a Kickstarter again, some things that I would do, I would really make sure my sourcing is good, because I did spend a lot of time trying to find where to get these printed, and it just took longer than I thought it was going to. I would make sure that you actually look into how much shipping costs, because it surprised me how much it was going to be, and I'm afraid that it's going to really surprise me when I actually go to ship these things. Hopefully not, but that's my fear. What else would I do? Yeah, it's like a lot of logistics. That's the thing. I think people want to do the creative side and don't want to do the logistics side, which I fully understand, because that's kind of where I'm at. Although, I can't totally lie, I do enjoy doing the logistics things. It's fun to pretend like I really hate it, but it is fun to get all of these things. It's fun to get everything in order and done right. But I also wish it was a little bit less chaotic. It's very chaotic. I don't know if that's coming through. Otherwise, I would start marketing mine a little bit earlier. I would probably try to see what it takes to get into the Kickstarter recommended projects. I don't know if that would make a difference, but I did not get into it. I wasn't a part of it, and I imagine that would have brought some traffic that way. As it is, set your goals reasonably well. That's kind of my, like, I set my goal maybe even a little low. I definitely went past my goal. I thought it was a very reasonable goal, and I think it is a reasonable goal. It was kind of the minimum that I needed to make sure that it could print, and then scalable after that. So make sure that you just think through all the opportunity. If you get your minimum amount and then that's not enough to get you like what you actually are promising, then you're still in that. You're in for that. And so just hoping like that there is, if there's a breaking point where if you get that many and more, then you can actually make those things and it'll pay for itself, then just set your goal at that point, because it would be better to not have the thing go through than to have it go through and not be able to physically do it, not be able to financially afford doing that. Your side rewards, whatever your big thing is, if you're making a movie, great. Your side rewards, make sure that they're cost effective or you're charging enough for them. Excuse me, that's cool. That's professional. It's just a lot. It is just, I mean, truly a lot of logistics. I learned a lot from doing this. I think I didn't realize what was actually going to go into making this. I had to figure out what an ISBN was to get this comic printed. I now have one, which is cool. That feels good. I had to get two, which was a bummer because I put the wrong price on one of them. So I had to I don't remember. I don't think I had to buy a full new one, but I did have to like pay for it to change the price. But yeah, like just so many little logistics of like where to get ISBNs, where to get the book printed, how like shipping works with that, if I'm allowed to use media mail, that kind of thing. I also like, I don't know if there's a way to do this. I'm not a Kickstarter expert, obviously, because I just told you I probably wouldn't do it again. But I don't know if there's a way to do it where you can not have people pay you like shipping if you know them. I did have a friend who just didn't pay it and didn't give me their address, and we're just going to meet up. And I wonder if that was maybe the way to go. But I am now having to kind of Zelle people back, or PayPal or whatever, pay people back for like shipping that they spent, which is just a hassle. Yeah, the finances are weird. It's a lot of like, it feels like running a little business. It's like a tiny little microcosm business, and I think I'm pretty okay at it. Not when I'm trying to record a video, but generally speaking, I think I'm pretty okay at it. And not only did this show me that I can do like a Kickstarter, it also taught me that I can run this side of a business. I can run the distribution end of something, which is encouraging. I'm honestly like grateful for the opportunity to do that. I am so thankful and grateful for everyone who did back this, and everyone who's read and is continuing to read Edge of Bordertown as I post new pages. It really means a lot, and I appreciate people being there for that, because it's one of my favorite things that I get to do. I love doing the YouTube stuff, don't get me wrong, but Edge of Bordertown is like my little passion project. And so the fact that can make this kind of thing happen, and that I can take it to conventions and people are interested and excited, it's just a huge honor. And I feel so grateful to steward that. So anyway, I don't know that I would necessarily do a Kickstarter. I also don't think I would recommend not doing a Kickstarter, if that makes any sense. Like, I think for my personal experience, Kickstarter wasn't necessarily worth it, but I also think it can be really good, especially if this is like your first comic. It's a really good way to not invest too much until you know it's going to work, and I think that's pretty wise. So I guess now that I'm thinking about it, there is the pre-order thing. You couldn't really do that unless you knew you were going to get it. What I was talking about, the break-even point earlier. Because like Comics Wellspring has a minimum order amount, or had, I think they changed it. But there's like, if there's a minimum order amount, I know I have to reach that with first print, or I'm just in the hole for however much that is until I'm able to sell them. So that's like, I guess, part of it. Same deal with like pricing, making sure that your prices are above what it actually costs to get them made, and well enough above that you can actually make some profit. This is all if you're actually trying to like run it more as a business. If you just want to get a thing printed and have a comic that you made, that kind of goes out the window. I actually would totally use Kickstarter for that. I think that would absolutely be the way to go, because it doesn't need to scale too much. You don't need, you have the opportunity. There's a chance that it'll scale and that people will randomly find it. But you don't like, you're not requiring as much from yourself for that. Kickstarter it's not a bad thing at all. I want to make sure that that's clear. I think it's a very good thing. I learned so much about the process, the physical books, and myself in a weird way. And so I do recommend going through it. I just think know what it is and know what you're going to use it for. Other than that, again, I really appreciate everyone who's read Edge of Bordertown. If you have not, it is, again, 100% free on my website, johnbonart.com. You can read the entire book there. You can also buy a copy of the physical book if you would like to do that. I'm a big physical media guy. If you want to hold it in your hands and flip through it, you can buy it on there. It's on my store, on my little shop page. So do that. Check all that stuff out. I appreciate you guys being here. And I hope you have just a fantastic day.